In July, in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol, President Bush presented the Congressional Gold Medal of Honor to Iowa native and agricultural scientist Dr. Norman E. Borlaug. With his family present, the 93-year-old Borlaug was recognized for his lifelong work to fight world hunger through crop breeding. Sent to Mexico by the Rockefeller Foundation in the 1940s, Dr. Borlaug worked years to develop a high-yielding, disease-resistant variety of wheat that could be raised in hard-to-grow areas.
The most fitting tribute we can offer this good man is to renew ourselves to his life's work and lead a second green revolution that feeds the world, and today we'll make a pledge to do so.
No person, before or since, has done more to answer the call to help liberate the world from hunger. Thank you all.
In the more than 230-year history of the Congressional Gold Medal, first presented to General George Washington in 1776, Dr. Borlaug is the first recipient recognized for work in the field of agriculture. And chair of the Senate Agriculture Committee, Tom Harkin of Iowa, says it's a long time coming.
Borlaug, no one's ever really focused on the agricultural sciences and what agricultural science has done, not only for our own country, but for the world. So it's proper that he gets this award.
With his individually designed medal by the U.S. Mint, imprinted with a quote of his, "The first essential component for social justice is adequate food for all mankind," Dr. Borlaug becomes just the fifth person to have received the Congressional Gold Medal, the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1977,
I call upon you, Norman Ernest Borlaug,
and the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970.
There can be no permanent progress in the battle against hunger until the agencies that fight for increased food production and those that fight for population control unite in a common effort.
To bring more attention to those words and to the issue of hunger, Dr. Borlaug asked the Nobel Foundation to create a category for food in agriculture. When he was refused, he sought financial sponsors and in 1986 created what he hoped would be an equally prestigious award, the World Food Prize.
When it was established, it was the same value as the Nobel Prize at that time, $250,000.
I'm going to be committed to this because people should know who he is, and his legacy should be there for the next 100 years to inspire Iowans, to inspire Americans, indeed to inspire people all around the world.
The annual World Food Prize ceremony is held at the Capitol in Dr. Borlaug's home state of Iowa, and the prize money comes from fellow Iowan and philanthropist John Ruan. The first recipient of the World Food Prize went to Dr. M.S. Swaminathan for spearheading the introduction of high-yielding wheat and rice varieties to India's farmers. He used his prize money to establish a research center in Chennai, India. Dr. Swaminathan was on hand at this week's Congressional Medal ceremony in Washington.
I feel fortunate to be here on a day when one of the greatest Americans and humanists of all times is being honored.
The accolades for Dr. Borlaug are many, from speeches.
The 2004 National Medal of Science is awarded to Norman E. Borlaug.
To medals and awards.
Borlaug Fellows will include
to having programs named after him.
Well, I've had long talks with Dr. Borlaug.
To working with former President and 2002 Nobel Prize laureate Jimmy Carter on a crop program in Africa.
I think his greatest single and most unique contribution is his natural ability to transcend the barrier that is erected between research scientists on one hand and farmers in the field on the other.
The father of the Green Revolution.
But the acclaimed scholar has not been without his critics. Over the years, Borlaug has been criticized by environmentalists who say the crops he developed demand high levels of chemical fertilizer and other inputs that could damage the environment. In more recent years, he's been criticized for his support of continued research and use of genetically modified crops. He has repeatedly defended his positions, arguing the need to feed the world.
The environment of poverty and misery is something that needs to be destroyed. from my point of view. Transgenic GMOs are important. But whether we will be able to use this or not, because of all of this fear of change, you know, when people become very elite, they think differently. They've never known hunger. They've never lived close to it, seeing children dying, starving. And they talk about the ecology.
Borlaug says his first job was in ecology as a forester, and he says he is not dissuaded by his naysayers. He says he has developed a thick skin and persevered with his research.
She was too young then to understand the complications, and she said, "Daddy, but they criticized you on all fronts." And I said, "Forget about it. That's the way it is. If you're winning a couple, or if you score a couple of touchdowns, everybody is after you. If you never score, they ignore you."
What he told his daughter is what he no doubt tells the younger generation of researchers he says will be needed to produce food for the growing populations in the world. To help foster the next generation of scientists, he, through the World Food Prize, established a youth institute for high school students. The institute offers educational workshops and oversees fellowships to see firsthand the type of work that is needed.
Exposing them in their presentations some aspect of hunger, malnutrition, how it affects not only health, survival, but the role of politics in food.
To this day, Norman leads an active life. I listened to a friend. He said Norman spends half his year in Texas, half his year in Mexico, and the other half wherever he's needed.
I thank you very much for the support that you have all given, and especially in that critical period of the 60s when the world said nothing can be done. Look what happened. Thank you.
For Market to Market, I'm Nancy Crowfoot.